On a quiet Tuesday, as the city slowly woke, Washington was jolted by a single, blunt post from Donald Trump's Truth Social account. The message was brief but seismic, sending shockwaves through the capital's corridors of power. The announcement, an immediate suspension of key tariffs that had defined US trade policy for years. The move was a stunning reversal. No press conference, no warning, just a digital bombshell dropped into the heart of the nation's economic debate. Newsrooms scrambled, phones rang off the hook, and social media erupted with speculation. For years, these tariffs were the backbone of the America First agenda, designed to protect US industry, shield American jobs, and punish what was seen as unfair trade practices by foreign competitors. Now, in a move that stunned even his closest allies, the architect of those policies was tearing down his own wall, leaving supporters and critics alike searching for answers. Pundits and politicians scrambled to interpret the move. Was it a bold act of pragmatism, a strategic pivot in the face of economic headwinds, or an unspoken admission that the old approach had failed to deliver? Wall Street surged on the news, then wavered. As uncertainty spread through the markets, investors tried to read between the lines, unsure if this was a new era or just another unpredictable Trump maneuver. Lawmakers from manufacturing states questioned their footing, worried about the impact on their constituents, while economists and analysts wondered aloud if this was a permanent shift or simply another tactical move in a long-running trade war. The tariffs had long symbolized American strength and self-reliance. Their sudden reversal exposed a more complicated, fragile reality beneath the surface. The US economy, it turned out, was deeply entangled in global supply chains, with American businesses and workers relying on parts and products from every corner of the world. The abrupt change was a quiet acknowledgement. Despite its size and power, even the world's largest economy can't go it alone. Global interdependence had quietly become the new reality. As night fell over Washington, the city was left reeling, forced to confront the limits of economic isolation and the unpredictable nature of modern leadership. America First was more than just a campaign slogan. It was a bold promise of economic independence, a rallying cry that resonated with millions. This vision was embodied most clearly by the imposition of tariffs, which were meant to protect American industries and jobs from foreign competition. These tariffs projected an image of strength and self-reliance, suggesting that the United States could dictate the terms of global trade and stand apart from the rest of the world. But now, a new order is emerging, one that flips the script entirely. Cutting tariffs on critical materials signals a shift from America First to America Needs. It's a subtle but significant change in tone and policy. It's a tacit admission that the US depends heavily on foreign suppliers for essential goods, from electronics to life-saving medicines. The swagger and bravado of economic nationalism have faded, replaced by a more pragmatic realism that acknowledges the complexities of global supply chains. The dream of instantly reviving domestic manufacturing and bringing every job back home has proven far more complicated than campaign promises suggested. You can't conjure a nickel mine or a pharmaceutical plant overnight. Building these industries takes years of investment, planning, and skilled labor. The recent tariff cuts are an admission that, for some products, the US simply lacks the capacity to meet its own needs right now. The very wall meant to protect American interests has, in some cases, ended up blocking our own supply trucks, slowing down the flow of goods we desperately need. This is a pivotal moment, a shift from economic nationalism to a more sober realism. It's an uncomfortable but necessary reckoning with the realities of a deeply interconnected world. The premise of the trade war, that America could wall itself off from the world, has cracked, revealing the limits of isolation in a global economy. The newly tariff-free list isn't random. It's a lifeline for American industry, a strategic move to bolster the backbone of our economy. By removing these tariffs, the government aims to breathe new life into sectors that have been struggling under the weight of high import costs. Nickel tops the list, vital for steel and EV batteries, yet US production covers only a fraction of demand. This metal is crucial for the future of green technology, and without it, the transition to electric vehicles would stall. Most nickel is imported. Taxing it was like taxing the air factories breathe. The removal of these tariffs is expected to lower production costs and increase competitiveness. Gold, essential for electronics, is another example. Our tech sector's appetite far outpaces domestic mining. This precious metal is not just for jewelry, it's the lifeblood of modern electronics. Tariffs on industrial gold made American innovation more expensive, stifling creativity and technological advancement. Most crucially, active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs, are now tariff-free. This change is vital for the healthcare sector, ensuring that life-saving medications remain affordable. Over 70% of APIs are imported, mainly from China and India. This dependency highlights the need for a more resilient supply chain. Tariffs on these ingredients raise drug costs without boosting US production, placing a heavy burden on consumers. The goal of reshoring was noble, but the reality, you can't wish new mines or factories into existence. Building infrastructure takes time and investment. These supply chains are global, and tariffs only hurt American manufacturers and consumers. Collaboration, not isolation, is key to economic growth. The cuts are a reluctant admission. Blunt tariffs do more harm than good. It's a step towards a more pragmatic approach to trade. Dependency can't be fixed overnight. It requires strategic planning and international cooperation. The reversal is a nod to economic reality, not ideology. It's a recognition that in a globalized world, interdependence is inevitable. For manufacturers and consumers, the tariff cuts brought instant relief. Factories saw raw material costs drop, allowing lower prices and new investments. For consumers, it's like a small economy-wide tax cut. Appliances, electronics and medicines may get cheaper. But while Main Street breathes easier, national security strategists worry. The move exposes a deep vulnerability: America's reliance on foreign suppliers for critical goods. The tariff cuts feel like a surrender, admitting we can't build capacity fast enough, so we'll take the risk. The economic pain is eased, but the strategic risk remains. The dilemma: fix today's costs or address tomorrow's dependency. The policy treats the symptoms, high prices, but leaves the disease of foreign reliance unaddressed. It's a short-term win, but the long-term anxiety lingers. The can is kicked down the road. America's comfort comes at the price of future security. Allies like Canada and the EU welcomed the tariff cuts, seeing them as overdue common sense. China, meanwhile, claimed a propaganda victory. America had blinked. US industries relying on imports, auto, tech, pharma, cheered the move as a boost to competitiveness. But protectionist sectors like steel saw it as a threat to their hard-won gains. Unions and politicians who championed tariffs faced an awkward pivot. The coalition behind the trade war fractured. Globally, the reversal was met with relief, skepticism, and a chorus of "We told you so." Two narratives emerged. Was this a smart pivot or a humiliating retreat? Supporters called it tactical genius. Tariffs got the world's attention. Now policy is more targeted. By cutting tariffs on raw materials but keeping them on finished goods, the administration claims to help US factories while still protecting them from foreign competition. Critics saw it as surrender, proof that America's protectionist experiment failed. The pain hit home, not abroad, and the reversal is a quiet admission of dependency. The debate boils down to intent versus outcome, masterstroke or climb down. Either way, the move signals that America's economic leverage isn't absolute. The world is watching. Is this flexibility or weakness? The answer shapes America's credibility. The grand promise of self-sufficiency has collided with reality. The question: pivot or defeat? The numbers tell the real story. America's dependency runs deep. In 2024, the US consumed over 200,000 tons of nickel, but produced only 18,000. Over 90% was imported. Tariffs just made it pricier, not more available. Zinc is similar. 70% imported, mostly from allies. Tariffs on these inputs hurt US manufacturers, not foreign competitors. For pharmaceuticals, the dependency is even starker. Up to 80% of active ingredients are imported mostly from China and India. Tariffs risked shortages of essential medicines. The US excels at innovation but relies on global supply for raw materials. Tariffs tried to reverse decades of globalization overnight, a mathematical impossibility. The reversal is a collision with hard numbers, not just politics. America can't play the game without the other team's players. Dependency isn't solved by wishful thinking. For most Americans, tariffs are invisible, but their removal means lower prices on appliances, cars and medicines. Factory workers may see more job security as companies save on costs and expand. The policy is a lifeline for downstream industries, but the long-term risk remains. Dependency on foreign suppliers is a source of fragility. A future crisis could disrupt supplies, leaving shelves empty. The trade-off: short-term savings versus long-term resilience. The tariff cuts favor immediate relief, but the question of true security lingers. Are we trading lasting strength for temporary comfort? The tariff reversal puts America at a crossroads. Is this a smarter, more balanced trade policy or a retreat from economic independence? One path: pragmatic cooperation with allies, targeted pressure on rivals and resilient supply chains. The other, a signal of weakness, inviting rivals to double down and allies to question US resolve. The move brings short-term relief, lower costs, more jobs, but leaves dependency unsolved. America's leadership and credibility are at stake. The fundamental question remains: will we pay the price for true independence or settle for convenience? The answer will define America's economic future. The clock is ticking. The choice is ours.